So, you interviewed a lot of luminaries in the toy industry. Were you ever starstruck with any of the folks that you talked to?
Oh, I mean, yeah. And the funny thing is about this show, I would be. I mean, I was working on Castaway like 6 weeks into my career. I was working on Castaway as a production assistant, and I wasn't starstruck in the slightest by Tom Hanks. Like, it was totally cool hanging out with Tom Hanks at craft service. We're doing the Transformers episode, and I met Bud Budiansky, the guy who literally created all the personalities and literally drew all the comic books for Transformers. And I mean, I was like nervous. Like, I mean, it was like literally meeting. I met George Lucas once about 10 years ago, and I remember meeting him, shaking his hand, and I was cool. It was all right. I wasn't like starstruck, but I had this moment with him where I'm shaking his hand, saying hello, and I'm like, I'm looking at his head, and I'm like, this thing sitting on his neck inspired my entire life. Like, I would be a lawyer or a dentist in Queens had this guy's head and brain not created Star Wars. And it was like that when I met Bud Budiansky. It was like, this guy came up with the name Starscream. He came up with Soundwave. The first 4 issues of Transformers, I mean, I have that up there with The Great Gatsby and Atlas Shrugged, like some of my favorite literature of all time. Even today, I would stand by that. And I'm like, this guy, who you would never look at twice, changed my life. And there was a bunch of people like that where it was like, it's just crazy, man, meeting people like that.
One of my favorite parts of the show are the reenactments that you guys have, usually at the beginning of the episode and also sometimes throughout the episode. And it's really funny. I actually heard someone one day outside my window talking about the show and talking about that part in particular, and they were saying it's not really a documentary, it's like a reenactment show. And which was amazing. Like, you hit the mainstream audience with that segment. So for you, like, why was that so important to include that kind of staged element to it instead of just making it a straight up Talking Heads docu-style series?
So one of the things that I've always loved about when you have the money and the power of working with a company like Netflix is it really lets you dive deep. And again, I'm a huge history buff. Like, I mean, if I turned the camera around and showed you my whole office, it's like toys and history. So one of my favorite things about history is you can usually find one little story that, if you drill down into it deep enough, sets up everything. So that's what we tried to do with the reenactments. But I find it funny that you bring it up because we made the decision not to do the reenactments in season 3. This is actually the first time I'm saying this publicly. We just made the decision about a month ago. And the reason was, ironically, because you brought this up, we get between 20 and 200 Facebook messages a day. We get DMs every day, emails every day. No one talks about the reenactments.
Really?
I would say for every 1,000 emails or Facebook messages or DMs, 2 bring up the reenactments. So Netflix is very adamant that the episodes be 50 minutes or less. And we got a lot of criticism, understandably, that our episodes left out gaping holes. So, like, Transformers didn't talk too much about Beastmasters. Star Wars didn't talk about Power of the Force. So, basically, what we did was I made the very painful decision to cut the reenactment, which gave us an extra 2 to 4 minutes per episode, and use that to tell the story better. Very painful decision. I cannot stress enough.
But unfortunately, that's an element of show business. It's all about micromanaging that little time that you have. So sad to see it go. But if it means more information, that's also pretty great news.
Yeah, well, I hope the Transformers fans forgive me.